don't care about maintaining the strong safety net of Medicare and Social Security, and the Koch brothers don't care about guarantee of affordable, quality health insurance for every American. What is going on with these two brothers who made billions of dollars last year in an attempt to buy our democracy is dishonest, deceptive, false, and unfair. These two brothers are about as un-American as anyone that I can imagine.
Okay, we got to see about his imagination then. Liberal leaders like Harry Reid eager to attack Republican philanthropists like the Koch brothers, but perhaps that's just a distraction. New reports have linked big Democratic donors like this guy named George Soros to some pretty shady behavior. That controversial FCC study, for example, to send spies into our newsrooms. Why isn't Harry Reid talking about that? At a time, perhaps? Byron York is the chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner and my guest this morning. First off, why the Koch brothers? Why are they in the crosshairs right now with Harry Reid?
Well, you know, there seems to be a Democratic plan to target somebody every few years. Go back 4 years to the 2010 elections. Democrats were in trouble back then, too. And they talked about the Chamber of Commerce. They said it was the foreign-funded Chamber of Commerce. You Google it. Go back to October of 2010, and they talked about it all the time. So the new villain are the Koch brothers. And I think you're going to hear that from now all the way through November. All
right. Well, how about this? If they're looking for a suggestion, what about examining George Soros? For example, as his Open Society foundations have given $1.4 million to the very liberal area of the UW-Madison's journalism school, University of Wisconsin, and $300,000 to the school's Madison Commons project. They also went out to the West Coast, the USC, where they received $195,000 in donation from George Soros' Open Societies Foundation, and the journalism school partnered with the Soros Foundation on ethnic media conferences. So it looks like he's trying to gain some influence with the next generation of journalists.
Absolutely. You mentioned those, too, because they were the ones who were involved in this study from the Federal Communications Commission. And I think you have to look kind of at the bigger picture with this study, because a lot of liberal reformers have been very unhappy for years at the continued success of Rush Limbaugh, and they want to limit that success if they can. They used to cling to the hope that they could restore the old fairness doctrine. Clearly unconstitutional. I think they've given up on that. But they've come up with a new idea called media diversity. They want to change the ownership of radio stations around the country. If they can do that, new owners won't play Limbaugh. They reduce his influence that way. That's what they want to do.
It is amazing, too, because they can't get a successful liberal talk show host, so they're going to try to do it some other ways, having somebody else buy the stations and just have no one listen, perhaps. Let's take a look at this. In terms of donors, we were curious. How much influence do the Koch brothers have in terms of dollars given? Look at the top 15 donors. You look at them, they have some ties to Democrats. If you want to go all the way down and find the Koch brothers, you've got to go down to number 59. So they're creating a villain where maybe no villain exists. And finally, what about Senator Harry Reid making these statements, these inflammatory statements, where he's got immunity on the Senate floor? Why doesn't he go outside and accuse Mitt Romney of not paying his taxes? Go after the Koch brothers personally? It would be a little different story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you're right to bring up that Romney thing. He made pretty much a scandalous accusation against Romney not paying taxes, again from the Senate floor. But on this donor thing, very important, Washington Examiner posted a list of the most important donors of the last couple of decades. Labor unions are by far and away the biggest, most influential of those donors, and many of them give 90+% of their contributions to Democrats. If you're going to talk about money in politics, you cannot just talk about the Koch brothers. You've got to talk about the big unions.
You know, Byron, it's almost like Vince McMahon of the WWE is producing these elections on the Democratic side. They have to make a good guy and a villain. Mitt Romney was the bad guy. It's not so much the policies, it's how bad he is. Now let's create another villain. These horrible people financing a bunch of illogical candidates against the good guys. Black hats and white hats. I wonder how long America's going to buy it.
Well, the whole idea right now is to tar a Republican candidate with the villainy of the Koch brothers, because Americans for Prosperity, a group that the Koch brothers do fund, does a lot of ads that play in local elections in states around the country. So a Democratic candidate, having villainized the Koch brothers, can then say, well, my opponent is taking money from the Koch brothers. That's the whole game here.
Right. Try to push them aside. All right. Thanks so much, Byron York. Always appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, 19 minutes.